Crooked Cocks.
That's staying in.
That's gotta be it.
Bonum
I
Night.
bet you
On George Michail's OnlyFans.
All right, let's go. Crooked Cops.
Oh my god.
Sexy Dames. Desperate Vigilantes. Robert Rodriguez brings to life Frank Miller's epic graphic novel, Sin City. Up next on Inside Movies.
Hey, George, do you have a book to plug today?
I do. Thank you for asking, Andrew. Resilient, issue 2 and 1, actually. You can order them into your local comic book store. It's about a judo teacher that loses her arms in a demining expedition in Cambodia. Her husband has a sordid past. That's the worst kind of past. It catches up to him, and it's up to her to take her cybernetic arms, her katana, and go rescue her man. There's lots of blood, guts, and kung fu action. If you like Sin City, you might like Resilient.
Might.
You will probably definitely like Resilient. All right, let's get into the review now. Hey guys, being on Inside Movies. Today I'm joined by writer illustrator GMB CHOMICHUK, novelist Andrew Buckley, and cousin David Hill. Thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
absolutely. So today we're talking about the 2008 movie Sin City, directed by Robert Rodriguez, and let's get into the good. What did we like about this movie?
The source material, I say, from my library. The source material is what I like about this movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it's so faithful to the source material, for good or ill, whether you like the style or not. It knows what it's trying to do, and it does a pretty good job accomplishing it, I think.
Yeah, it's absolutely gritty, and it has like that kind of crime noir feeling, like Frank Miller's books. Yeah, I absolutely love this movie. It's a good one for sure. I think the performances are great. Definitely Mickey Rourke is my favorite in the movie.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke is amazing in it. The other thing about it is I was a big comic book, I've always been a big comic book nerd. And when that came out, I think we still had the comic store. So there was a lot of hype around whether or not they could pull off how it looked. And there was rumors in Wizard Magazine that maybe the look that they released for the trailer wasn't what the whole movie was going to be like. And so there was all this. I went into the theater with all this apprehension about whether or not I'd been tricked into going to see a Frank Miller graphic novel on the screen, and they would just go into regular filming. But no, they came through for me.
Yeah, they stuck with that kind of style too, with the green screen and stuff, and it hadn't really been done before. Like you see it now, like all the time, or even shortly after that in like 300. But this one, I think, was one of the first ones to really be dedicated to the green screen. And,
yeah, for sure.
This still looks a lot different than like 300 did, though. Like 300 had a very specific style, but Sin City is like something entirely all on its own. Like it really is, graphic novel panels come to life, which was kind of crazy to see, especially the color contrast thing that they did with everything is muted except for the blood is like crazy white, but the yellow guy and the when they just highlight certain tiny little things about it. Was that I've never read the source material, so was that the same in the source material, Greg? Where don't look at me like that, where it looks where they highlight different colors, or I know our friendship is over, but
that's exactly it. The comic has no colors in it whatsoever, except for a specific highlight color in each story. So in that Yellow Bastard, the like weird freak guy who has the strange operations and his skin turns awful yellow to show you that he's a sick pedophile bile-filled monster. They only have the one color. Same thing for all of the books. They sort of have this signature color. And I just thought that was such a bold move for filmmakers to stick to.
One thing like that, getting back to the Mickey Rourke thing just for a second, I really liked how they just made him seem so huge, and like the prosthetics on his face to give him like that nose and the forehead. I read that they made him larger digitally in each scene just to give him like that presence, because Mickey Rourke's not that big of a dude, and yeah, so they digitally made him just massive in each scene. And the movie has its flaws with its CGI, but I don't think that effect is really noticeable. Like if you don't know that, I don't think you would pick up on it.
No, probably I didn't notice it. I just noticed it was a big dude. And I mean, Marv was my favorite character. It's my favorite section of the movie for sure, because he had so many wonderful little badass moments that just happened. Every time you thought he couldn't get more badass, he got a little bit more badass, and again and again and again. And he delivered like every single time, right up until like he gets the freaking chair. And even then, it was still super freaking cool. He made a death scene seem so cool. It was pretty wicked. And it's not something I've ever seen before. Like that kind of representation, that kind of look for a movie. It definitely stands out in my brain.
Well, in that cartoon sort of patina that lands across the whole thing means that every time it gets a little bit sillier, a little bit crazier, a little bit more outlandish, rather than be like, oh, where are we? You're in a cartoon, you're in this drawn world, so you can suspend your disbelief so much more easily. At least I found that.
That is absolutely true. It was way easier to buy into everything in this movie because you're like, well, I mean, you're just looking at it. It looks like a comic book, so it was very easy to buy into the whole concept.
There's basically 3 stories, 4 if you include like the kind of bookend parts with Josh Hartnett and the Hitman. But we got the Bruce Willis story, the Clive Owen story, and then the Marv story. Which one was your guys' favorite?
Marv for sure, man. Yeah, no doubt. Mickey Rourke killed it as Marv. Casting was great throughout the whole movie, though, right? But Marv for sure.
Bruce Willis played Bruce Willis, so as much as it was okay, I still got to go with Marv because at least it was, I don't know, it was just more fun. And I really do love Clive Owen. I think I put one note that Clive Owen needs to be in more movies because he's kind of a pleasure to watch. Like
right around then, wasn't he in every movie though?
He had a real small state where for like 5 years he was in everything, but then he just kind of vanished. I want to see
him up.
A small bit of like trivia that I liked learning from a rival YouTube show, by the way, was about Elijah Wood's character in the graphic novel is originally patterned after or drawn to look and resemble Jeff Darrow, who is a friend of, he's an illustrator and a friend of Frank Miller. Movie buffs will know him as one of the lead designers on all the Matrix films. And so he was a little disappointed that slender, slight, ninja-style elven Elijah Wood played him in the movie. When for a while, apparently, he was going to play himself. At least that's what the rumor mill says.
The cast is pretty cool in this movie. Like some of standouts for me was Brittany Snow. I thought she's just great in like every scene that she's in, just kind of chewing the scenery, and the girl who played Goldie, I forget her name, and then Rosario Dawson. Like I thought she was great too. I even though like the movie kind of focuses on the men, the female characters are all like pretty cool and like kind of badass, and I like them for the most part. And I didn't realize this too is and like because when the movie first came out, the IRA guy is played by Chibs from like Sons of Anarchy with the scars. Yeah.
Tommy Flanagan.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say that this is a particularly like great representation of like the fair side of things, but it is. It's a neo-noir movie, and so it's true to its source material. If we're in the bad, I'd rip on it in the bad. For the good stuff, man. We're staying with the good. It does badass detectives, crooked cops, flying heads, weird katanas, creepy cannibal ninja kids. It does all that stuff so well. There's a few things it doesn't do all that well, but we'll save that for the other list.
Yeah, the prostitutes obviously were the kind of the big female empowerment characters, I guess. Is that right to say? Is it politically correct? That doesn't feel politically correct, but
We'll probably get shit on.
most likely. But even like when I've totally forgot that Britney Murphy is that
Snow.
what that
Yeah.
was?
Yeah,
They
Britney
called her
Murphy.
Snow.
Oh shit! Is it Britney Murphy? I thought it was Britney Snow.
Who the hell's Britney?
Clive's
Snow?
girl?
Yeah.
Clive Owen's
Yeah.
girl? Yeah, that's Britney Murphy.
That's what I thought.
Right. Yeah,
I-
and she passed away and stuff.
I forgot
Shit.
she was in this movie, but even and she wasn't in it a ton. But like I forgot how good she was. She's got a great tone to her voice, great little actress. Like it's a bummer that she passed away so young.
Yeah, powerful actress for sure.
Yeah, and I guess like we should talk about like the action in the movie because it's like so much fun and it's like very visually interesting and just all the way they film it was just great and it's a fun action movie.
Well, it goes from really subtle action to really high impact, ridiculous, insane, over the top action. I mean, it opens with Josh Hartnett's whole little assassin thing, which I believe that first sequence was like what they used as test footage to sell the concept of the movie. I believe they shot that way before anything else was ever done.
Well, that would make sense to convince the studio they could make it look right. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. That was the whole point of that whole sequence, and then he used it as the intro for the movie. But I mean, that whole sequence is like beautifully, poetically done, and it's so nice and smooth and subtle as far as he kills her. But then it moves into like absolutely batshit over the top Marv action sequences, and like it really does have this crazy massive range of violence, I suppose, where it never stuck to one singular tone, although the movie looked absolutely the same tone wise, but the violence was really all over the place. Well, not a bad thing. It really kept me on my toes, and I rewatched this. I hadn't seen this thing in like 15 years, so it was interesting to check it out again,
to revisit it. Robert Rodriguez too, as a director, is really skilled at action in general. Like his action sequences always feel like a complete story, like from the moment someone draws a gun, pulls out a knife or whatever, you're going on a ride and you're going to get a conclusion that's satisfying. And that's been true of his entire filmography. Like, I think he was a really great choice for this kind of movie for sure.
Quentin Tarantino is credited as like contributing as a director to some extent in this movie. I wonder what part he worked on.
Ooh, I know. The sequence where Clive Owen is driving with the body or the ghost of the dead of
Benicio del Toro's
Benicio del Toro. That whole sequence was Tarantino's.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't.
Awkward crime-related conversations in a moving vehicle
seemed like right up his alley. Yeah.
Seems like you should call it. Hey, Quentin, you help me out? You help me out? Was this around the time that they were also working on the Grindhouse films? Like, would have this been in around that pre-production? Is that what put them in each other's wheelhouses like this?
No, they were in each other's wheelhouses super early on. When I used to be a big Robert Rodriguez fanboy, so I know the history of this one.
Educate us.
So when Rodriguez signed with the studio, Tarantino was like befriended him instantly because he'd seen El Mariachi, which is the one Rodriguez shot as like the cheap student film that he financed by having drugs tested on himself, and Tarantino loved that so much because he saw a lot of what he had wanted to do early on and couldn't, and then finally got to do with Reservoir Dogs. So they befriended each other instantly. So they hung out like constantly. So they had a burgeoning friendship like early on when Rodriguez was first introduced to Hollywood. So they had already kind of pieced together a lot of stuff. I think they worked on a couple screenplays together and shit. Then he was in Desperado, of course, too. Dust Till Dawn was theirs, right? Like, did Tarantino write it and Rodriguez directed, or?
Yeah, that's how that went. Yeah.
And Tarantino's in it.
Yeah, and he's in it too.
Yeah.
Same with Desperado, he's in it.
Yeah, he was in Desperado too. That's right, he got shot.
Yeah.
Wait, I got to cap off good. Elijah Wood as Kevin is ridiculous. That is one hell of a crazy ass villain. I'd forgotten completely that Elijah Wood was in the movie, and when I saw it, I was like, "Oh yeah, Elijah Wood. Oh my god, he's a crazy cannibal. Oh god, he has no arms and no legs. Oh, he's getting eaten by a wolf." Like, it was just a ridiculous character arc for that dude. Okay.
Well, and there's Michael Clark Duncan is in it just a little bit, and I like forgot how much I like that dude, and so he shows up, and then there's Benicio del Toro, and Frank Miller's got like a little cameo as the priest, so lots of cool stuff in there. But Sin City is not a perfect movie. Let's get into the bad. What do we not like about this film?
Oh, I'm just giving everyone else some space as I rev my engine here a little bit. You go ahead.
Oh,
David, you go first.
Jessica Alba's strip scene wasn't long enough. No, man. I can't really think of much that I didn't appreciate about it. It was just gritty. It was awesome. I loved it.
One of the coolest aspects of this film is the way it's made, and one of the worst aspects of this film is the way it's made. Like, I found like the overuse of the CGI was like distracting, and like sometimes it's like, why don't you just go and like film in front of a brick wall? Why are you doing like a CGI brick wall? It's stupid, and it's taking me out of the movie because I'm noticing that that's not a real wall. And so some of that stuff it seemed like it was overdone, and it was a little bit too much style. I like sometimes it was style for style's sake, I felt like, and when you could have accomplished the same scenes a little bit more practically. That was one thing that kind of really took me out of it a bit.
I definitely agree with you. I had that listed on my bad. As much as I love the strict adherence to the Frank Miller style and trying to convert it to film, there are times when it doesn't work. It is very distracting. Like the white of those bricks or something is just in that high contrast is much more interesting or dominating than the actor themselves, who's supposed to be the thing that's dominating. And that did distract often. It could have been also that on the smaller screen, it fights for dominance a little bit more, whereas in the theater experience, it was less so.
There might also have been a reason why a lot of the background or the side scenes and shit stood out more than the actors, because he shot, I think, 60% of the movie with none of the principal actors. Some hadn't even signed on yet.
You're making that up.
I am not. And they digitally inserted a lot of the principal actors' performances.
That's crazy.
Are you saying there's a rough cut of this film with like all his friends and family as placeholders?
Probably. There's got to be some way that he did that, but yeah.
Release the original Rodriguez cut.
We want the Rodriguez
hashtag
cut
of some sort? The Rodriguez Pals cut of Sin City I must see.
Start a petition. We should see that. I had the same note. It's kind of high concept as far as the look and the feel and the tone and everything. It does kind of run. I actually found some parts a little bit boring. Some of the speeches kind of ran a little bit long after a while. I got a little tired of some villains monologuing quite a bit. And I also then got tired of some of the heroes monologuing a little bit. I'm like, get to the fucking point. But I mean, it is what it is. You can't say it's a movie like this because there is no movie like this. So it does stand unique. But as a high concept film, it kind of felt a little bit, tired in some places.
In its defense, I will say, I know we're supposed to only talk bad things, but all the noir films that influence the graphic novel, they get all shaken loose by the time they're adapting the graphic novel back into a different kind of film. So I appreciated that aspect of it. And so that was one of those moments where style over substance actually helped because it hid all of the direct lifts from other source material in the noir and like pop boiled detective pulp noir vibe of Frank Miller's original material. Well,
it's a B movie, right? I mean, or it's supposed to be kind of that B movie feel. It's not meant to be like this, look like a crazy big budget, summer blockbuster. It does have that noir feel to it. So I mean, I think it works in its favor and also works equally against it in a lot of ways.
I found the 3 vignette kind of format to be a lot of fun. I like that a lot. But I found it interesting in that like they were all kind of had their pros and cons in different ways. I found like the Clive Owen one was the most visually interesting one, as far as like with the car chases and the tar pits with the dinosaurs, and I liked Benicio del Toro's talking head, and but I didn't feel like Clive Owen was like a good fit for that character. I don't know. I just didn't buy him as like the kind of young action hero guy. He's kind of got like a lumpy face. I don't know.
As a man with a lumpy face, I take issue with this kind of.
As do I.
I don't know. I would have liked to see someone else play that character.
Andrew, I got to ask here, as a person that wishes there was more Clive Owen in things, and now that we know Clive Owen could have played all the parts and been put all together, Clive Owen as Nancy doing the striptease, all of these, we could have had that version.
Oh,
That would have been amazing.
How do you feel about George shitting all over his lumpy face? That doesn't.
I'm not happy with him shitting off his lumpy face. I mean, you've got to give those kinds of people who don't look, you know, like the people who don't have that rugged jawline, George. You've got to give them a chance in this world. You can't just shit on them when they give a good performance just because they got a lumpy looking face. I mean,
yeah.
geez.
My goodness.
I'd walk out if I, you know.
Like we're literally
better to
four
do right
men
now.
who hide our weak chins with beards. And we're sitting here poking fun at Clive Owen. I don't know.
We should not be throwing rocks at Clive Owen, George.
This feels like a house of cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be making fun of something that I clearly am, but I just want to be better in my action heroes, you know. Going for the bad, there's the strange dynamic with Bruce Willis and Nancy. I was kind of cool with it, with her just like writing him letters and stuff like that. But then when she like throws herself at him, and he's supposed to be 70 at that point, right? Because he said he was 60, and then 10 years go by, and then so he's supposed to be 70, which he doesn't look 70. And it just seemed really bizarre, and I don't know. It kind of made me feel icky, and I didn't really dig that part.
Yeah, anyone with a daughter felt odd during that entire sequence for sure. Yeah, and I mean it's right there. You know this. Okay, we're gonna get real, and maybe David and I will go head to head on this part here. But in the graphic novel, when you have a drawing of a naked woman, a drawing cannot be really that salacious. It's just a drawing. Right. And so when it just locks down on, you know, this striptease sequence, it takes away some of the artistry that exists in the source material and just turns it into a, you know, oh, there's a pretty naked girl dancing around. Okay, I guess men like that. And so now they should murder people for her. Like it takes away the moment of muse. She doesn't seem as much like a muse in the movie as she does in the books, where she gets these full page spreads that are like just S curve in black and white. And you just, you know, you could see how a person in their own mind is falling in love with this image, this myth of the woman. Whereas in the movie, they're really in love with the actual woman. And that kind of seems, especially for that 70-year-old man, a little oops.
Yeah, fair enough.
The swastika throwing star that the Asian girl had. What was that seemed kind of bizarre. She was awesome though. I really liked her a lot. Just, you know,
if we're going there and we're listing it on bad, Frank Miller's got a
Frank Miller.
Like, his long history of work has swastikas in it, and they always seem to be in the hands of the bad guys. But there's an awful lot of swastikas that show up in his work.
Yeah,
I don't know what that's all about, but I don't really like it.
He got in trouble for that a few years back.
I believe it, yeah. He's also the same author that gave us Holy Terror. So, you know.
Hard boiled.
As much as I said, the violence is really great. There's a lot of violence in this fucking movie. Like, ridiculous amount of violence. Like, every single scene was kind of shattered with it. So, I don't know if that is some... I assume it was accurate to what the comic books were like. But when it got to the point where Bruce Willis was like, I took his weapon, both of them, and ripped the dude's dick and balls off, I was like, okay. I mean, we've reached a level where I get it's comic booky, but I think I even remember when I saw it in the theater, I think I got to that final vignette and I was like, okay, I've seen enough. I'm good. I've seen all the crazy batshit violence I can stand, which is maybe why I haven't rewatched it that much.
Well, that's one thing, is that it is a little bit repetitive in like, people getting shot in the dick happens a couple times. Yep. People getting their heads cut off happen a couple times. And, you know, I'm all good for like, you know, that sort of like violence in a movie. Like, it's fun, but it's kind of repetitive. And like, you know, these 3 vignettes, like the same sort of things are happening in all of them. You know, that was, I don't know. Not that I'm one to talk, but it could be better. Like, you know, I guess I am one to talk. At least I think I am. But you know, it could have been a little bit more imaginative in some of these kills too, than just, you know, shooting people in the penis.
So just to sum up, less penis shooting Less Clive Owen's lumpy face. What
Yes,
else did you guys list so far here?
and more real bricks.
More real bricks. I think that's our proper summation of. You can just make a really short video, George. That's just us summing up.
This thing will be 5 minutes. You just hating on Clive Owen for 4 of those minutes, and then we can just get to like the wrap up for a minute.
My God, Clive Owen's such a great actor. We shouldn't shit on him at all.
All right, let's get into the skinny. Let's give final grades for Sin City.
I'll give it a B+. Yeah, B+. Yeah, it's childhood. You know, I was grade 12 when it came out. I fucking loved it. DVD.
Wait, I have a question. Did you see it on DVD or in the theater?
DVD.
Wow, you're
I
making
was
us all
too
so-
young to see it in theater.
Oh,
Right? It was
bastard.
18A.
That DVD comment does sort of qualify your comments about the striptease scene. Now I understand.
Right? That's puberty, man. Strange times for me.
DVD at home, not long
Jessica,
enough. Now I understand what you're getting at.
So
there.
Jessica Alba was
dark,
like, you're like
dark lotion, blanket. Yeah.
Dark lotion? What kind of fucking lotion is yeah.
No, it was dark in the room. Lotion.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Like dark lotion.
You don't use dark lotion?
Something I missed in
Right.
my own puberty.
George, how come this video is so off the rails today?
This one's a weird
motor
one.
oil.
I mean,
Sorry.
we had
Is it me?
That's
Should I
the only
leave?
thing that's changed here.
I heard you guys needed some reviews. Crazy guy.
You brought it. You brought it.
Yeah.
You and
Oh
your
my
dark
God.
lotion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it a B. I think that Sin City is an interesting experiment. I think the storytelling and the vignettes are all 3 of them are strong and fun to watch, but I think it's a little bit more style over substance that stops it from being at that A. But it's a solid B movie. If you haven't seen City before, watch it. It's a good one.
Yeah, I would give it 3 out of 5 cigarettes smoked right to the filter on a beer-stained bar covered in peanut shells.
Oh shit! I would give it.
It's like-
I don't know, 3 out of 5 bottles of dark lotion. I give it a solid B+. It's not that I love this movie by any stretch of imagination, but it's unique. Like there really is nothing else like Sin City. So I mean, kudos to Rodriguez for pulling that off.
And that's going to do it for another episode of Inside Movies. I've attached links to all of our social media, so go ahead and give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and check out Resilient. It's in your local comic book stores now. See you next time, guys.